Hello, welcome to a taster of travel and tourism. My name's Amanda. I'm one of the travel and tourism teachers here at New College, and I'm also a course leader for the travel and tourism courses. So today's session, just going to give you a little insight into what you might expect if you decide to come and study at Huddersfield New College. Okay, so the travel and tourism department is made up of, there's 3 teachers, and there's lots of things you can get involved in if you decide to come and study with us. Today's lesson is one of the key units that you would study across all of the travel and tourism courses. So it's a unit called Global Destinations. So Global Destinations is a big part of the travel and tourism course. It's a controlled assessment, so it's like an exam, but you do get some preparation that you can take into the exam with you. So today's lesson is what we would normally do at the start of this to introduce our classes. So first thing we'd need to do is to try and get you to understand lots of different places in the world. So some of us have travelled far and wide, some of us have not travelled so far, so we need to try and get you to understand as many different destinations as we possibly can. And then we look at why people go to those destinations. So what makes those destinations really popular and really appealing for people to travel to. So an opening question would be, what do we mean by geographical awareness? So when we talk about the world, how much knowledge do you already have? So before you would start looking at the unit, we'd look at what you know. So one of the first tasks we might do with you is we'd get you to have a look at the world map. And that's a fun starting lesson. We get you to identify the various continents. Hopefully you know that you're on the continent of Europe, right in the middle. We look at North America, we look at South America, we look at Africa, Asia and Australasia. And then we break it down and we go a little bit further into looking at different countries on those destinations. And the reason we do this is because in your exam, in the controlled assessment, you have to be able to look at different destinations and have a good understanding of why people go there and what makes those destinations popular. So if you're sat at home now, you might be able to answer this question quite easily. So can you name 2 natural attractions that are in the country that you live in? And can you name 2 natural attractions that are somewhere far away from where we live in? So for example, we live in Huddersfield, so a natural attraction that we might go and visit might be the Lake District, or we might go to the Yorkshire Dales. But if we want to go further away for a natural attraction, we might go to Amazon jungle, or we might go to Egypt, we might go to a nice coastal area. So having all these different ideas and building up your knowledge is a key component to this unit. The next thing we're going to look at then is we look at what makes a destination really popular. So when we think of tourist destinations, they've got to have things that make them appealing. So people go to places because they might have really nice attractions. So for example, Florida, people might go because you've got lots of things to do, lots of parks to visit. But one of the first things you need to look at is it easy to get to those destinations? So we look at a destination and we look at what's the transport like? Is it easy to get there, or is it somewhere that you have to get lots of different flights to? We'll also look at what the accommodation is like. Is it somewhere that is quite expensive to stay? So for example, Dubai at the moment is really popular. Lots of influencers and celebrities go to Dubai. Is the accommodation there accessible to sort of the average holiday maker? Is there different types of accommodation? Can you go to destinations and go camping? Can you stay in nice hotels? Can you stay in bed and breakfast? So we look at different types of accommodation. We then look at what you can do when you go to destinations. So we look at different events you can go to. You might be going for festivals, you might be going for a carnival. The local culture then leads into that, so we look at any cultural restrictions. So again, Dubai is a good example. We'd look at what are the restrictions sort of in terms of safety and security, and then we look at what facilities are provided. So not all people going and travelling are going for tourism for leisure purposes. Some people are going for business. So we look at what business travellers need, and we look at whether destinations provide for those business travellers as well. So a nice destination there, Ibiza in Spain, that you can see on the board. And a lot of the work that you would be doing, if you were here in lesson now, we would have the class looking at Ibiza, and it would look at what transport Ibiza's got, what accommodation Ibiza's got, what events, what the culture's like, what the safety and security is like. and it builds up some knowledge, because when we do the exam, we don't know what you're going to have in your exam, we don't know the destinations, and we need to sort of get some good knowledge built up, like build up a bank of destinations. Leading on from there, we then look at something we call, in shortened version, we call it TALC, so it's the Tourist Area Life Cycle. And this is looking at what stage of development a destination is at. So for example, we look at a destination and we look at currently, is it somewhere that is still growing in popularity? Is it somewhere that's been popular for a long time? Is it somewhere that's in decline? So places like Dubai, they're still in development because they're still developing lots of new things. Places like Benidorm, they're more maybe possibly in decline, but they might also be rejuvenating because they might be trying to improve their image and trying to make themselves a more popular destination again. So one of the key questions in the exam, the first question in the exam, is often related to the tourist area life cycle, which is why you need to know about this and why we spend quite a lot of time in class looking at the various different stages. First stage is exploration before we come to the involvement. Exploration is where people go to a destination that isn't very well known. So people discover somewhere that's a bit maybe off the beaten track and start, exploring, and then other people then hear about it and they start going there. So the involvement stage is where, for example, lots of people are now starting to go to a destination and the local population start getting involved. So, they might open up a nice restaurant because they know tourists want some things to eat. They might open up some accommodation because people need somewhere to stay. So the local community is starting to get involved. So it starts to become known as a tourist destination. From that stage, it becomes the development stage. And then during the development stage, this is where large companies start getting involved. So you might be familiar with large hotel chains like Premier Inn, Hilton, Marriott. They start to see that a destination has become popular and they start investing into the destination. At this stage as well, you might have attractions start being built, like water parks. Wildlife sanctuaries might start opening up as tourist destinations. So this is where we're at the development stage. Consolidation is tourist numbers are growing, but it's kind of leveling off a little bit. So it's not as up and coming as it was to start with. And then stagnation is where it's a mass tourist destination. Everyone knows about it. Everybody wants to go there. So places like Magaluf and Benidorm, it's hit that point where everybody can go there. You can get quite cheap package holidays to visit destination. And this is where the local culture starts to be impacted. People going there expect the local population to speak English. They expect everything to be the same as it is at home. So it takes it away from the sort of the naturalness that it had to start with. And then from this stage, it can go into a decline. So a lot of tourist destinations become very popular and then they can decline in popularity so that tourists stop going there or less visitors start going there. And then at that stage, a lot of tourist destinations will either become very unpopular or they will realise it and start trying to improve and they start trying to rejuvenate. So they're trying investing money in the local area, trying to improve it. So for example, Spain's done this a lot because a lot of people go to Spain and maybe might, go out and go there partying. They're now restricting who can go there and sort of restricting the all-inclusive packages to try and rejuvenate the destination. Okay, so there's a task if you have some time at home and you are thinking about doing travel and tourism, it might be worth you having a look at this task and having a look, can you find some destinations that you think are going through the peak stage, the decline stage, the rejuvenated stage. So that's just an insight into our lesson. Thank you very much for listening, and if you have any questions, please do feel free to contact myself. I'm the course leader at the email address on the board.